Before you head off to the comment section and start rage commenting because I used Pas.John Jebaraj's picture in the thumbnail, hear me out for a second because this video may not be what you're expecting it to be. In this video, we're gonna be talking about what happened with Pas.John Jebaraj a couple of months ago. If you're not familiar with Pas.John Jebaraj, which I highly doubt, he's a famous or infamous, depending on who you ask. He's a really famous celebrity pastor, if you want to call him that. And a couple of months ago, in November, December of 2024, rumors started spreading that he was supposedly caught having an extramarital affair, an extramarital relationship.
ஜான் ஜெபராஜ் கேரள பெண்ணோடு சில பல காரியங்கள் நடந்தது நிமித்தம் டைவர்ஸ் அப்படிங்கிற போற லெவல்ல அவங்களுடைய குடும்பம் இருக்கிறதாகவும் பலர்பட்ட கோணங்கள் சமூக வலைதளங்கள் கூறி வருகிறது.
We're gonna talk about what happened and what we know so far for sure, and I'm gonna share my personal opinion about Pas.John Jebaraj and this entire debacle and how Christians are reacting to it. But that's not gonna be the entirety of this video. I want to talk about something really important, something that is really concerning to me, and it should also concern you if you're a serious Christian. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So like I mentioned, a couple of months ago, rumors started spreading that Pas.John Jebaraj was supposedly engaged in an extramarital affair. We don't know a lot about what happened for sure, but here are the things that we do know for sure. One, his church, the King's Generation's church, I think it's King's Generation or King's Community. Oh, I think that's Pastor Isaac D. His church has been shut down for a couple of months, and they had a notice on the door of the church saying that services are temporarily abandoned and they don't know when it's going to resume again. So we know his church is closed down for sure. You know this thing that we Gen Zers do to check if someone's actually having beef with someone else? We go to their Instagram and see if they're like following each other. So I did that, and sure enough, Pas.John Jebaraj is not following Rima Sherlyn Jebaraj, his wife, and she's not following him either, which kind of gives me a mixed feeling because, you know, sometimes I don't even follow the people that are closest to me because I spend most of my day like with them in person. So following them on Instagram is not really a big deal. So I thought maybe they didn't follow each other from the start, which I don't know if they were, but you know, it's definitely something to think about. They're not following each other on Instagram, and that's about it. And you, the people watching this, you can also like figure this out for yourself with just a couple of Google searches, a couple of Instagram searches, and all of that. So I don't have any exclusive information to share with you guys. I just know what's out there on the internet. Does this indicate that they are divorced for sure? I don't know. It may be or it may not be. One of the things that is kind of puzzling me or making me even more concerned is that, let's just say that this happened, unfortunately. If it did, then his ministry should take a pause. But if you look at his Instagram, he's been going to meetings, he's been having like, you know, he had the New Year services, he's been to a couple of churches during Christmas and New Year, he had all of those services. I think he's still going out and doing meetings and like all of the things that he has been doing like throughout his ministry. If this thing is actually true, if he actually had an affair, if he actually had a falling out with his wife, and if this thing is really as worse as the internet made it seem to be, then things should probably look a lot different, but they're not. And if it turns out to be true, and all of these pastors, churches that are having him over to do the meetings, and they're not aware of like what happened, or maybe they are aware but they just don't care, that should raise a lot more eyebrows. That's a huge red flag. Like, that should be concerning. Now, here's what I personally think about what's happening with Pas.John Jebaraj and what I think about him as a whole. I am a huge fan of Pas.John Jebaraj. I think he's one of those guys, one of those artists or pastors or musicians or worship leaders or whatever you want to call him. He's one of those people who kind of revolutionized the Tamil gospel field. When his albums first came out, Levi 1 and 2 during 2017 and 2018, if I'm not wrong, those albums were like really good. That's when he started popping off. All of the churches started singing his songs. I started singing most of his songs. I was obsessed with him. I actually kind of idolized him when I first started like leading worship. I distinctively remember my dad letting me lead worship in an outdoor gospel meeting, and I copied Pas.John Jebaraj's dance moves for the song Nanga Vera Mari Bro. Yeah. But after that, as I started like growing in my faith, as I started learning more and more about the Bible, I also used to listen to his sermons. I used to download all of his videos from YouTube. Like whoever uploads a video of Pas.John Jebaraj, I would download it on my dad's old laptop and I would watch them over and over again. As I started growing in my faith and I started learning more about the Bible, I caught a couple of concerning things in the way that he was preaching. He was leaning heavily towards the hyper grace, prosperity, gospel, and the word of faith thing that every pastor who wants to be cool is preaching these days. So that was kind of concerning. I moved away from listening to his sermons. I stopped listening to his sermons, but I still am a huge fan of his songs. Not all of his songs, but most of his songs. I like his songs. I think he's a really talented musician and a songwriter. He's really good at what he does. That being said, when I heard about this affair thing, the internet always finds something to talk about every couple of months, and I was hoping that this is just one of those. But as days went on, people kept talking about it a lot more, and it got to a point where my dad, he pulled me aside one morning and he talked to me about Pas.John Jebaraj. He asked me like if I knew what was going on. I said, yeah, I don't know a lot, but I know something's going on. And he pulled me aside and he made me watch a video, and I watched that video. I think it was like a 15-minute video or something, and I watched the first 90 seconds or 2 minutes of the video, and it was insufferable. I did not want to continue watching that video. It was absolutely horrible. We'll get to that in a minute. Actually, the second part of this video is gonna be a lot about that. So stay tuned, keep watching. As people are talking a lot more about this, I started thinking, okay, maybe this is true. Maybe something really has happened. And that's when, I started doing a little bit of research, but I didn't want to do it because, I felt weird about it because I didn't want to entertain this gossip that was happening in the church. I did a little bit of research and I found out that his church was closed and he was nowhere to be seen for a couple of days and all of that. When I saw that, my initial reaction was like, oh man, this is starting to happen here in India. I say in India because maybe things like this have happened a lot in India too, and I just don't know about it. I'm someone who's obsessed with America, the West. I really like following what's happening in American culture because I think it's interesting, much more interesting than what's happening in India. So because I do that and I listen to a lot of preachers and YouTubers from America, unfortunately things like this happen quite often, especially in the recent years. Is Pastor Carl Lenz. He was the pastor of Hillsong, the NYC branch, the Hillsong that is in America, in New York City. And Ravi Zacharias, this guy was really famous. He was also an apologist. I like apologetics, so I watch a lot of apologists on YouTube, and he was one of those guys who I was kind of looking at, but not really. But that guy really shocked me. And there's Pastor John Gray, Jeremy Foster. If you just go in and type in on YouTube, fallen Christian pastors, you'll find a lot of them. First time a pastor falling affected me personally was when it happened to Pastor Carl Lenz, because I was a huge fan of that guy. He was a brilliant communicator. He was fantastic at what he does, and he looked really cool. He was really charismatic, and he was shredded. And when he fell, right before lockdown, he had an extramarital affair with another woman, and it got out, and he got fired from Hillsong NYC, and there was this whole article written about him, and everybody blasted him all over the internet for a couple of years. And now he's back doing podcasts. He's not a pastor now, but he's back an influencer doing podcasts and stuff. So that's when it affected me. It affected me because I kind of idolized people like Carl Lenz and Pas.John Jebaraj. And when I did that, and when things like this happened to Pastor Carl Lenz, it really gutted me. It made me, question everything that I've been learning, especially from Pastor Carl Lenz. It made me think about the Bible and our faith as a whole. What if everybody's just lying? Everybody are just hypocrites and all of that. But as time went on, I learned that idolization was never a biblical idea. We are not supposed to idolize people. Inspiration and idolization are very different things. Inspiration is when somebody looks cool or sounds cool to you, and you think one day I want to do what they're doing, and you kind of try to do it on your own. But idolization is you see somebody who does something cool and you think they're cool and you just copy them verbatim. That's what idolization idolization is. And I don't think idolization is a biblical idea. I'm saying this because it tied to the criticism that people were making about Pastor John Jebaraj when this news kind of hit the fan. People were saying that a lot of youngsters follow him and a lot of youngsters are going to take after his example and they're going to also end up doing something like this. And if you are one of those people who used to idolize Pastor John Jebaraj and are struggling with like what's happening with him and you're puzzled as to like what to do and you don't know what to do, I just want to say to you that your faith is not built upon a person, a church, or an organization. Your faith is built upon Jesus and the Bible. So whenever like a pastor that you look up to or like a leader that you look up to, or maybe even me, like people that you look up to as Christians fall, you got to remember they're also humans, they're fallible and they can also fall. And your role model, your idol, your God must be Jesus, and the basis, the foundation of your faith must be Jesus and the Bible, not a person. If for some reason your faith was rocked because of what happened with Pastor John Jebaraj, you got no reason for your faith to be shaken. You can be concerned because you love him, because you want the best for him, because you like him, but there's no reason for your faith to be shaken. So that is what I personally think about Pastor John Jebaraj. I love him. I love the guy. I have huge respect for what he does and what he has been doing and what he has done for the Tamil gospel music field. And I want him to keep making music, but I'm also concerned that all of these things that have been coming out may possibly be true. And if that is, I am concerned that he's not taking a break from all of his ministry and all of the work that he's been doing to reconcile, recover, and, possibly rethink about his actions and all of that. Because when something like this happens, when there's a hidden relationship or when something as scandalous as this happens or supposedly happens, it's not just the affair or it's not just the thing that happened that's the problem. There's a lot of things surrounding that. There's probably deception, lying, and hiding things from people you care about, and there's this whole thing surrounding the thing that actually happened. So to resolve all of that, to get out of all of that, which is important, you got to get out of all of that, not just the affair. To get out of all of that, it takes time. If all of these things that has been said about Pastor John Jebaraj turns out to be true, then I don't think him just pretending didn't happen or it's not a big deal I don't think that's good. That's what I think about Pastor John Jebaraj and everything that's been happening. Now, the biggest reason that I wanted to make this video is the way that we as a church, as a community reacted to this particular situation was really concerning, especially the people online. And by online, I mean the people on YouTube. This is a really huge problem, I think, and I'm really concerned about this because I am also on YouTube. I'm also making videos. So I want, the Tamil Christian YouTube space to also be a healthy space for, people to come watch videos, be entertained, to learn stuff. And the way that people have been making videos about this particular situation or any situation like this, that is just disturbing. So my first contention is gonna be Christian YouTubers. I'm throwing air quotes because I don't really think the videos that they make are inherently Christian, and I know that's a strong reservation, but you'll see why. The videos that Christian YouTubers made about this situation are absolute garbage. When my dad made me watch that video, I couldn't even get through 2 minutes because it was insufferable. Like I already mentioned, I couldn't watch it because the video that I watched, the guy who was in the video, presenting the video, was basically emoting that he was being turned on just by looking at a photo of the supposed mistress of Pastor John Jebaraj. And I don't know in what world he thought that was an appropriate thing to do on camera, but that happened. I had to watch that. I feel sorry for myself. And this is kind of an extreme example, but most of the videos that I watched are kind of like that. And that is what concerned me the most. And all of these videos that were made about Pastor John Jebaraj, about this specific situation, were firing off. We'd see a new video every day made about Pastor John Jebaraj and this situation. And most of this information that these guys were presenting were really, tough information to acquire. Unless you are close to him, you have no way of getting that information. And these guys were reporting on information like that, which seemed to be alleged information as confirmed facts. Now, the problem with presenting alleged information as confirmed facts is that you may possibly end up spreading misinformation on the off chance that all of those alleged information turn out to be false. If all of these rumors turn out just to be rumors and don't have any basis to them, then basically all these YouTubers that made videos about Pastor John Jebaraj based on alleged information, they spread misinformation. And when you spread misinformation, there are consequences. So let's say like all of this just turns out to be rumors and the people who made videos about this turn out to be false. Now, Pastor John Jebaraj has the right to sue these guys on a defamation lawsuit. And if he does that, and most of these channels are not like really huge channels, and if he sues them for a lot of money, then basically these guys are done. So you're putting yourself in danger, and you're also putting the church at danger because you're spreading misinformation, and it's going to ruin the image of the pastor that you're spreading misinformation about, and it's also going to ruin the reputation of the church amongst non-believers. So reporting on alleged information without knowing if it's actually true or not is not a good idea. And the approach that these guys took to presenting this information is also very disturbing and concerning. Most of these guys who were making videos seemed like they almost wanted to see Pastor John Jebaraj fall or see something like this happen to Pastor John Jebaraj, which should really disturb you. Because like I said, you guys get now like why I throw air quotes when I said Christian YouTubers, right? So these guys seem like they wanted to see Pastor John Jebaraj fall. I am all for constructive criticism, feedback, and holding people accountable when they do something wrong. I'm all for that. And here at Peacemakers, on every video that we publish, I leave the comment section open and I turn off the comment section moderation, which basically means anybody can say anything they want in the comment section. That's a decision I've made for myself and Peacemakers because I want Peacemakers to be a community of people who can hold each other accountable and give responsible feedback and critique each other and grow together as a community. So I am all for constructive criticism and feedback, but Hebrews chapter 12 verses 6 says the Lord chastens whom he loves. So correction and constructive criticism must always come from a place of love. But most of these videos and most of the time that I saw people talking about Pastor John Jebaraj and what happened with them, I don't think they were coming out of a place of love. I think they were coming from a place of jealousy and envy. That is not why we do constructive criticism or feedback. The reason that we critique somebody or give feedback to someone or advise someone is because we love them and we want to see them get better. That's why we do constructive criticism. Not because we're jealous of them, not because we're envious of them. The Bible has some really harsh rebukes for people who are jealous and envy. Only God gets to be jealous, and he gets to be jealous of us because he loves us. So this is the reason I wanted to make this video, because as someone who makes videos on the same platform as these guys, I want this space to be a healthy community for people to come and watch videos and get educated and get entertained. This needs to change as fast as possible, because the longer we keep at this, not just Pastor John Jebaraj, the longer we keep going at pastors and like brothers and sisters of our own for no reason other than jealousy and envy, because we envy them of what they're doing and we're jealous about like how God is using them, we need to stop. Like this needs to stop. I don't necessarily have a problem with people making videos about Pastor John Jebaraj and what happened with them. The problem that I have is the attitude that they had towards their videos. It seemed like they wanted to tear him down rather than report on what's happening for the benefit of the church. I've done videos in the past, we've done podcast episodes in the past where we've talked about some concerning false prophets. There was this guy who asked a couple, like a husband and wife, to touch his shoes so that he can bless them. That's outright crazy. In that same episode, we also talked about Pastor Paul Dinakaran deleting a prophecy that he made about the election results of India from a live stream. Rather than taking accountability that he just misspoke, they just chose to like pretend like it didn't happen and they deleted the footage from the live stream. So we talked about that. So I believe in holding people responsible, especially when they have reach and influence like Pas.John Jebaraj and like Pastor Paul Dinakaran and like any influential person in the Tamil Christian field. But the reason that we do it is for the benefit of the church, because we don't want the church to be led astray and we don't want the pastor to fall and suffer. That is why we do those things. Now, before I go to my closing thoughts for this video, I just want to make one last note about Pas.John Jebaraj. Pas.John Jebaraj over the years has been an overall net positive for the church community. Meaning the songs that he's produced, the music that he's made, and his ministry has blessed more people than it has hurt people. And yes, there is the really concerning fact about how he's preaching hyper-grace doctrines like the word of faith movement and the prosperity gospel. Even though he does that, I think his ministry as a whole, if you take like the last like 10 years of his ministry and if you look at the results, I think the results are mostly positive than negative. I have like non-believing friends of mine who listen to Pas.John Jebaraj's music, and I think that's awesome. Pas.John Jebaraj has been an overall net positive, and I've heard people in the past say that he's from the devil and all of that. I don't think it was the devil that raised Pas.John Jebaraj to where he is right now. I think God used Pas.John Jebaraj, and somewhere along the way he may have been influenced by some people and some false doctrines and theologies. Those may be the cause of like all of those things happening with him. But if you're saying that the devil used Pas.John Jebaraj, you're just out of your mind. You're crazy and you need to stop. I'll end this video with a message. If you are one of those people who make videos like these about pastors, churches, and comment on things that are happening in and around the church community, you need to take a second look at what you're doing and think about why you're doing it. If you're doing it for the betterment of the church, and if you're really concerned and really care about the things that you're talking about and the people that you're talking about and you want them to get better, then absolutely fine, go at it. But if you are doing it out of a place of jealousy and envy, you really need to stop. You're hurting the church more than you're helping it. And if you're one of those people who watch these videos and share videos like these, you also need to stop. You're also equally harming the church, just like the people who are also making these videos. If you ever come across a video that looks like it's just unfair and it's an unfair representation of a pastor or a ministry and they're just being mean, just don't watch it. The more you watch it, the more you encourage people like those to like make videos, and the more people are gonna watch it. So don't watch it, don't share it, and all of us need to make a change to help change this, because this really needs to change, because I don't think this is ideal. I don't think this is helping anybody. And one final request that I would like to make of you guys before I go is that please pray for our pastors and leaders. I know a lot of pastors who are out there doing the ministry of God, laying their lives down, sacrificing their lives and doing the hard work. And they are our pastors, our leaders, and it's our responsibility to pray for them. You don't have to support them. You don't have to support them financially. If you feel led to do that, by all means do it, but you don't have to do it. But the one thing that you have to do is like pray for them. It's the one thing that we can do, and we have to do it, because we have to remember pastors are still humans. They're fallible human beings. Even though they have like a higher calling, they have like a lot more responsibility, they're still humans. They still tend to fail, and we need to pray for their protection, providence, and guidance. That's our responsibility. So pray for our pastors, pray for our leaders, and pray for the church as a whole. I hope this video helped you like gain some insights and shed some light on some things that we should think about, and I hope you found it informative. And I know in making this video, I'm putting myself in a lot of hot waters, and I'm fine with it. I'm aware that part of doing like online stuff is like having to deal with negative comments and people being mean at you. So it doesn't really matter, but I hope we change. I hope this changes, because it really needs to. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos and episodes from our channel, and definitely ring the notification bell icon so that you never miss a video or episode. And let me know don't let me down in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section about what do you think about this and what do you think about my remarks about what has happened. And yeah, and be nice to people. You can be mean to me in the comment section, like I don't mind, but don't be mean to other people in the comment section. So yeah, I'll see you again in another video.